and the rain came,
Yeah.
and then our basement flooded.
Oh, no.
We have a terrible mess there.
Huh.
So anyway, they came back, finished up the porch, but I can't put it back together because we took the carpet out ourselves, carpet and pad all in the garage, and I've got to get rid of it, so I'm gotta.
Huh. You have a sump pump in your basement?
It did, and I quit.
Oh.
It worked the first rain event,
Oh,
it quit on the second.
yeah, and we got a lot of rain too.
What's the name of that company that came in?
Serpro?
Serpro come in there, they told me they pumped 500 gallon out of the basement.
No kidding.
It's been a real disaster.
Yeah, I'd say. You might as well just have a swimming pool down there.
Well, it's completely carpeted.
Huh,
Take care of that, you know.
yeah. You're getting some new neighbors over there too, looks like.
Well, no, not really.
Not really?
It's more, it's the, Dave Bridges that lives up on top of the hill. He's always lived there.
Well, I mean, the one's right across the street from you.
I don't know when that's gonna happen.
Oh,
That's still pending.
well, it was still pending.
It's pending sale of their property.
Oh, well, there's somebody building something right across
That's
the
Dave
street.
Bridges.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, it's probably not.
Oh.
Where is this? So we go.
Here, I'll give it back to him. How you doing?
Yeah. You can't. Oh, okay, I get it. You want one, guy. Okay, not those. All right. Good morning. Yeah.
It's a release still.
Oh, it's still, sorry.
And I'm waiting on Jeff Farmer. Jeff Farmer is going to be joining this way.
Oh, it's gonna be joining.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I've got to stand here until he pops in because I've actually got to click to admit him to the meeting.
Okay. I think I see his name popped up, so.
Yeah, he's in.
Oh, he's in, okay.
He's in. It's just, not showing up the way I would have expected it to.
Oh,
On the air. Should I go?
not very.
Hey, we'll start with pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Board, if you had a chance to read the minutes. Do you have any questions or corrections? I have a quick question for Marvin. Page 2, I believe. That's not. The point that, not insure, no, my company, Alan, I'll do, making chips. Enhanced. They questioned the charge, but they didn't show up at the last meeting.
Right.
So the charge went through and they paid it, I assume.
Couldn't tell you.
But you not heard anything more from them?
Haven't heard anything. I'm not normally a billing agent and I don't know if Bill has.
And Matt, you've not seen any,
So.
anything come in?
Marvin, can I be heard?
Yeah.
So I have talked to Enhanced and talked to Jeremy Bungie, and he was supposed to get back to me before today's meeting on exactly how much flow they're intending to use. And at the time I talked to him, he thought it would be more towards the 4,800 gallons. I explained to him what the charges were. He understood them, but he has not got back to me.
Did he express any concern about the change in wording?
Not particularly. I mean, he kind of understood it when I explained the capacity at the plant, and I think they just were surprised when the initial, they thought it was going to be more, towards the 12th. I can't remember what the original cost they thought it would be, but I explained to him why that would not work for Greene County or any other customers there. So I think he understood it. He just needed to talk, I think, to the higher ups in his company. And he told me he'd get back to me before the meeting, but he has not.
Okay, well, we'll wait to hear later then, I guess. Thank you. With that said, I'll look for a motion to approve. Second. All in favor? Aye. We're ready for the financial report. Next.
Month of March. Started out the month, balance of 42,244.40. Had monthly sewer collections of 7855.96. Expenses were 13,505.86, and left you with a balance at the end of the month of 36,594.50. Updating that through this week, or through Tuesday, yes, it was. The balance is now 36,571. A couple things here on expenses. We've, no, they're, Pine and Fanio, we paid their January bill. Didn't get it paid until the 1st of March. So there's two, so you see in the contractual services there's a couple months worth of payments to Pine and Fanio in March. And then also the advance repayment to the redevelopment commission, we're now caught up with them. So that payment was for the first 3 months at the new $1,000 a month repayment. Plus there were we've 44 out of county payments in those 3 months. So that we, I guess in those 3 months. So we've paid them that $440 for the additional adequately charge of $11 for those were the only thing to note that I had. No questions on a report from me. Okay. All right. And then Lou, that the issue with the customer that, yes, they're in Westcott. So I'm going before next meeting, I will check into that and try to make contact with him and get all that figured out. So I think we still need to bill also, as well as in addition to his monthly bills that he sent with the bill for. What was his name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head. You know what I'm talking? You know,
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess
Early
it's not-
England, something,
Yeah.
something like that. I can't remember his name. I'm sure you can find it. I would ask you also to work with Brian and Faneuil. They've done the inspection on all of those. But when I went to your office and worked with Jackie, I could not let her find all those payments.
Yeah, I know at least that.
I would like you to verify that all those payments were made by Westcott.
Yeah, kind of, it runs in my mind that at least that location had not, there was no. I don't think Westcott had been, or Winegar had been billed for that. Actually, the inspection.
So if you can check on both of those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
For as soon as you find something. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? We need a motion.
Motion to
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Look forward to the food. I know Daniel. Jeff, are you gonna take this or? Can you hear me?
I'll just go. Operations, we didn't have much. We didn't get called out to the progress point lift station one time for a high wet well during a storm. But everything was fine there. Last meeting, we said we wanted to look back and see how much capacity we promised to a couple different potential customers. Did you circulate that, Marvin? Did everybody?
Shoot, you said.
Okay. Well, what I found was that when you look at Winegar's 31,500 gallons, we promised an enhanced 12,000 plus the flow that we currently had at the plant that were over 50,000 gallons. Obviously, Winegar hasn't built 100 homes to this point. I think he's only built 24 or 25 homes. But yeah, I mean, when you add up all the capacity we promised, it's over the 50,000 gallons a day that our plant has. And I can circulate this information, Marvin. I've sent it to Marvin as well, but that's all I have.
I do have some to add to. I had a discussion with Tom Weiniger about our capacity issues. Obviously, Love's Truck Stop would like for us to sign an intent to serve so they can start building, and all the other things that are, I'm sure you're going to talk about today that's coming up. Tom, he's cautious about letting go some of his capacity because he wants to build 90 more homes. I discussed with him, it's the chicken or egg story. But how moving forward. With things going on, we have work with for including that and you know so we
we couldn't hear any of that.
You must not have Verizon. As a good phone commercial there.
I think he was trying to say that Tom Weiniger didn't seem super excited to give up capacity right now because of possibility of all this new development. Maybe he would have reason to build more homes. Is that part of that conversation?
Yeah,
I don't know what he was.
we kind of got the gist of that part.
That makes sense because there's a lot of information circulating around about the big activity out on
Yeah,
Harvest Church Road and then the truck stop. And, you know, there's various things.
I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
yeah, yes.
I don't know where I left off, but the gist of it is Tom Weininger is willing to sit down and talk to us about possibly giving us some of the capacity back until we can get a new plant built.
Well, did he mention of any progress that he's making as far as building more homes in a real near future?
Yes, I mean, he's really obviously he was gearing up for strong box to be built and you know the need for homes. Now we have a new need possibly. He just doesn't want to get caught with, you know, he's got all those lots that he's put a lot of money into. He wants to be able to have the capacity to build those homes. So that's his concern.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
More questions for Jeff? At this point in time, yeah, we have one.
Just for clarification purposes, either for Connor or Jeff, if we can work with Tom and if enhanced comes back at a 4,800 gallon flow rate and can give us a better idea of what their increases are going to look like, do you think that we can handle adding gloves and doing the will serve letter?
Well, I mean, technically, you have to calculate all that you've allotted and then how much capacity you have at the plant. Personally, we've talked about this before, but 310 gallons per day per home is a little high, probably by 50% at the least. And I do think we'll have the capacity, but we just got, you know, the state won't allow you to sign off letters that exceed your 50,000 gallons.
Nine. All right, Rick Kovic just handed me a worksheet and it looks like based on our current based on the commitments, including Leininger and enhanced at 12,000, we'd be looking at 69,475 gallons per day, which obviously is well over capacity. If I'm interpreting correctly, if we can get enhanced down to 4,800 and Tom will work with us at about 7,500, we'd have over 38,000 gallons of actual use, but then that would leave about 11,800. We'd be at just over 76% capacity. Rick, Mike.
Yeah, and that Tom doesn't go anymore. That's what he's got right now in Holmesville.
Okay. So we would have some work workspace there, just not a huge margin by any means. Okay, just.
Would that give us enough for the truck stop?
Well, you add 9,000 to that, you're at 45, then you're at what, 90% of capacity?
Yeah.
So that's pressing pretty close, but I guess it's still doable.
Yeah, Mark, do you, I mean, at 80%, they're gonna want you to have a plan.
You. There is a plan, right? Construction points, dealer design, and wastewater. Yeah, that's what you would go back to items, even if you got to 90%, as long as the plans are underway. And really, once you get a construction permit for a plant expansion, we can go talk to IDEM and work with them about capacity allocation. And how, and being able to do that and tying that in with the timing of the plant expansion.
Can we do all that without money? I mean, everything about that is dependent upon the state doing something to allocate funds that will come this direction. Is that not true?
I think the plan, they're counting on the money from Congress, right, the CDS funds. There's a Senator Young, the congressional director.
It's not the state, it's a federal.
It's federal funding.
Federal funding.
And going two different directions on that right now. The congressionally directed funds are kind of tied up through the continuing resolution that was adopted in March, and we don't know really when, whether, or if those funds are actually going to be released. Because of that, SIDC is working toward getting that same request attached to other legislation that is more likely to pass through more quickly, more likely to pass through and actually produce the funds. Bear with me for just a moment. I've got to check something in minutes. Okay. It does look like Sharon, do you recall if the board letter to Congressman Messmer was approved last month? Well, there's one from the commissioners, but there's also one from, there should be one from this board that
Call that out.
shows the commitment to
Letter to Senator. Congressman.
yeah, I think that is not.
I thought there was just one.
No, there are two. There are two. There is a letter. I don't have it with me. I'm going to go get it. Basically, it's a letter from this board signed by Lou that says that we strongly support not only the project, but attacking that project. It also says that if that money comes through, that because the project is then big enough to accommodate Crane Village, that we would accept their flow. I need to go get that letter. It's not on the agenda. I apologize for that. It slipped by me, but we need to deal with that today while we're on this topic. So if you'll bear with me, you can continue the discussion. Just a minute.
Thank you. Mark, I have a question for you then, because you're more familiar with I am. If we approach this 90% or even more, what IDEM is eventually going to say, stop, aren't they?
They typically IDEM will look at your flow on an average, on a yearly basis. So they'll take a year's worth, and every year they'll evaluate
what your treatment levels are, meeting your permit, not meeting your permit, what your flows are and everything else. And for those who gradually approach their flow, if they get to 90%, if you're above 90% of your plant capacity on a hydraulic basis, on a flow rate basis, or organic loading, they'll write you a letter and say, hey, you need to consider expanding or doing something because you're starting to get close to your limit.
And because of strong box structure point planning, etc., would that suffice as to get?
We could go to IDEM and say, this is the plan. However, IDEM then is going to want to get you, as long as you're not exceeding your permit, you know, IDEM's not going to really, in our view, say anything or do anything to you. And we've had clients whose plant has exceeded the flow, but because the loading is so low, they're not exceeding the total number of pounds of pollutants going into the receiving stream, right? If you're saying we want to do 50,000 gallons a day and the concentration is supposed to be 200, right? That'll produce X number of pounds per day that's going into the receiving stream. But if you say we're going to we got 60,000 gallons a day, but our incoming strength is only 100, we're actually putting less pounds a day into the stream. We've been able to work through those type of situations with IDEM as long as there's a long-term plan of plant expansion. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah. Okay, I thank you for that. I just, what I'm questioning is, are we reaching a danger point where IDM is going to come shut us down totally, and then we're really going to be behind, or do we have a way out of it?
No, I don't think IDEM will shut you down. The worst thing they would do is give you a notice of violation if you're violating your permit, which I don't believe you are, right? So I don't think you're going to get a notice of violation. What you would get is if you got to the 45,000 gallons a day on a yearly average. So remember, if you take it all the way up to 50,000 gallons a day, you know, in June, it's going to take a year for that, then the yearly average to catch up. So you've got some time to be able to go in and lay out a plan with IDEM. And the other thing you can do is you've allocated this capacity, say to Weininger, and let's say he builds 20 of his 100 homes. Well, at that point in time, if those 20 homes are connected, you can look at your average flow and then recalculate your baseline to say, okay, now here's our flow, and he's got 80 more. So then you kind of allocate, you do your capacity allocation on an annual basis and provide that information to IDEM. Then you can say, okay, well, yeah, he's got 100, but they're not producing 310 gallons per day, right? He's not going to need the full 31,000 gallons. Okay. So we can do that.
We got various ways to go.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
As long as the wastewater plant expansion proceeds.
Just a question of if we get like a violation, say we're up to the 80-90% mark, would that stop like Weininger from building any more homes with their allocation?
If you received a violation,
Yeah, like you were talking earlier.
like if you violated your permit,
Yeah.
IDEM will typically, if you receive a notice of violation, if you fix it, you're good. If you don't, you're going to eventually get under an agreed order with IDEM, in which they're going to say that you can't have anybody else hook on. You'll get into a sewer ban.
I didn't know that violation included that.
It would. Any allocations that you have given that people aren't connected, if you get on a sewer ban, you can't have any more people hook in, even if you've allocated capacity to them.
Even if you build.
Yes.
Okay. That's all.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, Marvin.
Just coming back to the letter, it's basically what I was describing. A letter to Congressman Mesmer, and he is now the target. You know, the continuing resolution came out of the Senate, and the or pardon me, the congressionally directed spending came out of the Senate. So they're proposing to redirect attention to the House, addressing this to Mark Mesmer, and I'm trying to enlist his assistance to attach this to a more likely, faster faster funded piece of legislation in order to get things moving a little faster than through the congressionally directed spending. So it's a letter of strong support for water and wastewater infrastructure projects proposed for the Westgate at Crane Technology Park in the town of Crane. References construction of the new wastewater treatment plant, upgrades to water and wastewater collection systems, enhancements to the well fields, and upgraded water main from the well fields to the park, and at some point a new elevated storage tank. Essential for current needs and also set the stage for future growth. Includes transitioning the town of Crane to the regional sewer district. Once their I&I issues have been resolved, these matters all impact NSA Crane, provide mission expansion capability, benefit the small town Crane through the consortium approach. These are part of our commitment to enhance strength and attractiveness of our community by enhancing the strengths of our community partners, in this case, particularly NSA Crane, Shared Tech Park, Town Crane, improving water and wastewater infrastructure, provide readiness for future commercial and industrial enterprises, strengthen the security of NSA Crane by shifting local effluent out of the basis collection system and onto the district. Treatment plant, of course, makes that possible. Therefore, the district will accept wastewater flow from the town of Crane upon remediation of the I&I and the construction of the new wastewater treatment plant. I've moved through it fairly quickly. That's the essence of the letter of support, however. And if that is something that you are agreed upon, then it would be appropriate to have a motion to approve the letter of support and authorize Lou to sign that on behalf of the board. Thank you.
So have I not already signed it?
Yeah, that's the same letter. So yeah, we have, the commission has already approved that. We've already sent ours.
Yeah, but I haven't signed that one from us yet, have I, Marvin?
No.
Okay.
No, it looks like I sent it to you probably a couple of weeks or so ago. But didn't get it sent to the rest of the board. I was waiting for your approval. I don't remember if I got it or not. The point is that it didn't get circulated to the rest of the board. But you should have seen that letter probably a couple of weeks ago, and I realized
I
that.
apologize, I don't recall that, but
That's okay. I should have
I've had
had
time to full plate the last week or two, so I've been.
I understand. I should have had it on the agenda. That's my,
So we need a motion to approve this letter.
yes, please.
We have a motion, Scott, second,
I'll second.
all those in favor? Aye. I will sign it at the conclusion.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just like to add one thing, when you're talking about the sewer ban, we had that kind of same issue with another plant at one point in time, and if the federal fund would fall through or for some reason or not, the plant is expandable for another 50,000 gallons. It was originally designed to be expandable, so that would be a lot of time. But what we did in the other case was that when we got the notice from IDEM that we were on sewer ban, what we did was we put together a timeline of events that would happen, like design and construction and those issues that we were required to follow. So, you know, you could have option A, which would be the structure point design, a new big plant, or option B, if you got to that point, then option B would be to just expand the plant, which would, you'd have to look for funds for that, obviously,
But that would be far less, I would assume.
that would be far, oh yeah, it would be far less than what the big plan is, and like Mark said, once you get further down the road, we, IDEM's estimate for gallons per day per home, which is what Tom Winninger's building off of, 310 gallons per day. But when those are all online, it's going to be far less than, you're actually using will be far less than 310 gallons per day. So you do have other options other than just waiting on the federal money.
Thank you.
Marvin, have we already approved, the two new buildings that are going up? We've already got them, capacity.
I assume so. I haven't been out there in a while. The last time I was out there, there were a couple of bare slabs and no construction started on them beyond those bare slabs. But it sounds like you've been out there and seen some construction.
Yeah, but I mean, have they asked for?
Alan, I don't recall. I think so, but I just don't recall. I'm sorry.
One of those buildings on County Line Road. That new building is that one we talked about.
No, we've already approved that.
Yes.
But the two new ones out there, the,
He's talking about homes in Westcott, I believe.
no,
There's two buildings on here that are listed as IIF and RCE facility. Do you know what the?
yeah,
Is that what you're referring to?
the RCE and ultrasonic building and whatever.
It's, so their allocations are included in this.
Okay,
We sent them.
Right.
Each sent their letters.
all right.
Any other matters to bring up about the subject? The next item is the possible action on a letter to serve the new potential travel stop. So I'm assuming this is pretty much the same type of situation. We just need to put out a letter indicating that we can support travel stop.
Well, based on where we are today, that letter would have to have some conditions in it. Those conditions, the immediate conditions are negotiated reduction of capacity allowance to Whitehair Construction and a receipt of an updated will serve letter reflecting a lower need from enhanced semiconductors. We would not be able to submit an unconditional letter of intent to serve.
So step one would be to contact those two entities.
Yeah, and obviously some of that discussion is underway. As you've already heard this morning, if we want to lift the conditional nature of a will serve letter to gloves, then we need to know for sure what enhanced is asking for and have an updated request from them so that we can give them an updated will serve letter. And then we need to be absolutely clear with Tom. And then to the extent that's got to be dealt with IDEM, absolutely clear about the capacity that he's going to give up so that we know exactly what the estimated usage is based on 350 gallons per day. No, so.
Excuse me.
So guys, please continue your diplomacy. Quickly. Or I can do the letter with the conditions in it and have it ready for your signature in the next couple of days. But I don't know how those conditions will sit with Love's.
I would say not well. I'd say they either want a letter that says we're gonna serve or we can't serve, one of the two.
My expectation is that they would far prefer to have an unconditional will serve letter. That's what they're holding up on. I assume they've got an option on the property. Basically, as soon as they have a will serve letter, they'll exercise their option. They want to get started. They want to be up and running. Was it the first half of 26? Does anybody recall if they specified a date or order in 2026?
So it sounds to me as if we need to proceed with some haste to get this agreement with Tom Leininger and also the enhance.
According to the representatives with Love's, one of their design people, the only thing holding up their project is knowing that they have sewer capacity that they got asked for. It has.
Well, I suggest that, yeah, would the board be willing to give Lou the authority to sign that letter for the next meeting if we can get those concessions? So we can go ahead and work on that and try and get the concessions from the two people that we need those from, and then Lou could go ahead and sign it and get it out to Love instead of waiting until your next meeting. A month from now that can review that.
Yeah, if we don't have to wait, we don't want to wait. That's, thank you, right.
And I'll tell you now, and I forgot to bring my phone along, but I will be out of the country. About the second week of May.
A week from something next week.
Okay. That's not a problem. Yes, sir.
I have a client that recently has done something along the lines that I'm going to suggest as a potential option. And I thought I'd bring it to the board, to Marvin. I don't know if it seemed to work. In the case where you have, I'll come up here. Tend to speak louder because I can't hear anything. But if you have, you've allocated, you've given these people will serve letters. You don't know if they're going to use that capacity or not. You don't know when they're going to build. But now they've taken up the capacity. I had this happen in another case where the sewer board said, we will grant you capacity contingent upon you paying us the system development charge. So basically, if you want the capacity, you're going to have to pay us for the EDU charge, and then you'll be granted that capacity. So you get into a residential subdivision that has 200 and some odd homes. They want X amount of capacity. You say, we'll give you capacity upon your payment. I don't know if that can be brought back with some of the will serve letters or anything, or be an avenue that you could explore. Let's see, that would be with Mr. Weininger then. Say, if you want, if you pay for another 10, then you can build 10 more homes. We'll provide the connection permits. I don't know how that would work in your case, but it's something that is being looked at with others.
Sounds like a potential.
It might be something that allows you to work through and enhance. If you want 4,800 gallons per day, if you want 12,000 gallons per day, you write us the check to guarantee that you've got that capacity. And then you've been paid for that, so you can reserve that. Otherwise, you're just saying, we'll serve you, we'll give you this capacity, and you don't know if they're going to use it or not, or if it's going to take 5 years before they do it.
And then in addition to that, the amount that
Yes.
he's asking for appears to be too high anyway.
Mhm.
So that's I guess a bargaining chip we might use when we, on the discussion itself. Thank you. You got me sign that other one, I didn't not at all. You don't either.
I knew the commissioners did, that's why I was confused.
I
was familiar.
I was aware of that, but I didn't. I don't remember coming in and doing that.
I think whoever talks to Weininger needs to sit down with him, heart to heart situation, say, how many houses or condos he's planning on building this year, because we've allocated X number for him, but it could be 4, 5, 6 years before he gets to his 90+ units. So all that time that we're holding, him.
Holding capacity.
Yeah, for him, it could be 8 or 9 years down the road. So
that's where I think Marty's.
yeah, so we could, we kind of politely put rein him in about, well, what's your plan? See what his plan is, and we can try to, we'll work with it, but I think we need to really hone him in on what his plans are in the next year or two, not 8 or 9 years. Or 5, 6 years.
Yeah, well.
310 gallons a day per home, 300 gallons. Is that correct per month?
Yeah, it's not a
Well, I kind of decided to do those together. I can see. Don't know any.
So what we need to do then, I believe, is task someone to talk to Tom Weininger to get an amended amount that he's got. And we also need to proceed with enhance to do a similar.
Yeah, we're talking about.
So Ryan Nathaniel, you're taking on that task?
Yeah.
Okay.
Based on that, I think that Rick Graves' suggestion is a good one. Will the board consider a motion to approve Lou signing a will serve letter upon proper identification of actual capacity needs of enhanced and linear construction?
I would make a motion to that effect.
I'll second.
I have a quick question before we finish that. You said, I thought a minute ago that you would rather have a letter go out without those conditions. That's not likely to happen within the next month. Is that what we're saying?
No.
Yes, sir.
This letter would be with no conditions. And it would have to be next week. So what we're hoping for. I'll be more than happy to talk. The commissioners will talk to Tom. And I'm sure that Jeff will talk to Enhance and see if we can't do that here in the next week.
I think Enhance will be able to tell us very soon an actual number.
Okay, so the letter then would be with no conditions.
It's an unconditional letter.
That's
Yes, that's what we want to give.
that's what I thought we were trying to get to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, that's what we want to do.
So let's modify what Marvin had just said is let's have a motion for that letter to be put together. Once these conditions have been met, and then I'll Be authorized to sign that.
Okay. I think that's the intent.
Okay.
I think that's what Alan said.
Yeah. Okay. Now, he didn't say that, but I was concerned because we didn't have the two. Right. The two okay. So we have a motion. And we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Marvin. I will work with you on my schedule, so you'll be able to get me in here to sign that.
Yeah. If nothing else, I can prepare it, date it for later in the month, and have you drop in and sign it. I just hold it until I get clearance from Light of Family.
Very good. Next item is considering changing the date and time of meeting. We had several options proposed over the last month or so. I thought we had a good idea, and then Sharon said that there was someone else that had a conflict potentially with twice a year.
Lou, may I suggest something there also?
Yes.
In talking to John and the redevelopment commission, I believe they're going to move their date for the 9/11.
So we'll bring it up in our meeting in half an hour to move the blue to the fourth Thursday. So that we don't have a conflict with you folks.
That would be great. So we'll say it's the third Thursday.
I think so. I think they've agreed to move there, so.
Thank you, John.
Okay, yeah, good.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Then our time could go on until we finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't see any further action required then.
No.
Any other business?
I do want to talk, don't have any time here. Mark will yell at me if it's going to be long. Want to give you a quick update on where the commissioners are, and we have a request that we'd like to make of you. Simply, I don't know how much information you have. I don't know where the sewer district are in the loop of things with the negotiations that are going on with the developers. Right now, the commissioners are dealing with 3 developers. The one is the NDOT development for the rest stop. 2 is a Prometheus project, and then the 3rd is the Loves. As we're discussing with them and negotiating with them, they're wanting to know what we're gonna, and we want to speak for the sewer district. So we need to be sure that we're kind of on the same page, which brings me back. I think we're going to need some help here from Wrestler, so we can tell them what we want to do. The first drawing I give you there, and I think maybe you got that, I missed that meeting, that's from the NDOT rest stop. And you can see that they had planned to go under 69, take the county line roads around and run a force main over and hook into the sewer system. We don't really want them to do that. What we would prefer that we do is to add a lift station at the northwest corner of the intersection of 231 and 69. And then NDOT could just pump theirs to that lift station. Instead of them crossing 69 where they're going to cross, we'd like them to cross 69 at the intersection. They told us that sounds good to them. It's a lot less. They can stay on their right away. They don't have to buy a lot of easement. What do we have to do to make that happen? We said, well, you need to provide us with a bore underneath 69. We're just going to relocate your bore, so we don't have to purchase a bore to get over there. The first question they asked was, well, how much is that going to cost? We think that's doable. We need to know how much that's going to cost. So we need to figure out how much that's going to be. The same thing with Loves, and discussing with Loves what they're going to do. We've asked them to rebuild that county line road that goes there. It's not near good enough for their purposes. So they're going to do that. And if we can get them sewer, we don't want them to run a sewer line up and hook onto the existing sewer and then find out a year from now that we're going to build a lift station north of 69 and then we need to run a bigger line. We need to coordinate that with them if we're going to do that. The same thing with Prometheus. As we discussed with them, we just entered into a contract with an engineering firm to redesign Harvest Church Road. We're going to widen that and straighten that out some. We're also going to create a utility corridor along that road. And what we would prefer that they do, instead of considering a package plant at the Prometheus site, is that they would pump that to your facility. So they would pump that down the utility corridor that we're going to create, and they would pump it the full length of 231 down to this new lift station at the corner of
the interstate there. That would allow us to hook anywhere along there that would make that Mount north of 69 sewer available for any of that areas up there. That's just kind of in a general view what the commissioners would like to see. What we would like for you to do, and this is our ask, is that you would ask Westland Associates with telling us, is that doable? Is there a better way of doing it? And we need some budget estimates to tell us how much those things are going to cost. And when we're negotiating with those developers, we can tell them this is how much it's going to cost or how much money we're going to need to do that. That's the first request we have. The second request we have is that, and Margaret will know this better than I, the outline of the sewer district, some of these developments are outside of the sewer district's area. We can expand an area, the commissioners can expand an area, but there's some hoops that you have to jump through to do that. We'll also need Westland's input in order to be able to do that. We need to find out, one, if you're willing to expand the area to encompass these places, and what hoops we have to jump through in order to do that. I think Marty may know better than, I'm sure probably than anybody else. If there's some development that goes on outside the sewer district's limits, we don't have any control over what they do or how they do that. The only way that we would have any control over that is if it's within our district. I think that's the way, that's not the way we're talking. Yeah, you're going close. As a sewer district, you can serve with sewers inside or outside the district. You can serve people outside the district, but you're correct in that you don't have as much jurisdiction or control over that. So someone that's outside your district could say, we want to build our own wastewater plant. And as long as they pass their anti-degradation and everything else, IDEM lets them. However, if they say they want to build it and you as a sewer district say, no, we want to serve them, IDEM's most likely going to tell them, well, you need to connect to the sewer district. So if they're inside the boundaries, it's automatic. If they're outside the boundaries, then it's kind of a negotiation.
How are you all about expanding the boundaries?
Well, that's some hoops in that. We'll have to do some research on that. There's Indiana code, an eligible entity can petition the board of trustees to expand the district boundaries. That eligible entity could be the landowner. It could be the township trustee. It could be the board of commissioners who created the district. But it's got to be an eligible entity per Indiana code that then writes a letter petitioning the board with a description of the area. And then the board at a public meeting has to receive that, discuss it, and vote on it. You may need to give notice to the property owners in that area that you're expanding to include, and to give them an opportunity to be at the public meeting for the public notice part. But that's basically it. It's in the board's discretion whether to expand or not. Expansion of a district is a lot simpler than creation. Yeah, so I think that we want to be able to control that. The county commissioners want to be able, for you to have control of what development goes on in there and how they develop it, what they're going to do with their waste in that area. So I guess that's our first ask, is that you would have Westler start on this process. Can you give us some ideas? Are we thinking in the right direction? Is this the plan that we need to do? You know, can we do that lift station? We're just shooting from the hip here and telling the state, if we build a lift station here, you can pump to here. They need to tell us that that's feasible.
So that's, because we've never really had a plan on utilities or anything.
No, and this has popped up so quickly, it's just very difficult to think it through. We need somebody with the expertise to let us know. We're excited about being able to offer sewer north of 69 and offer sewer all the way to the Harvest Church Road. Whether that's a combination of more than one lift station, whether that's a combination of force main and gravity sewers, we don't know that. somebody's gonna have to tell us what's available there to do that.
So just to recap, the two actions you want us to do are,
We would like for you to, and I think you do this by task order, is that how it works with Russell? That you would give them a task order to look at the overall design of those three projects and see how best we can serve the sewer needs for those three developments. And then give us some budget estimates for the increments of it, so we can go back to each developer and say, this is how much it's gonna cost you. That's part of negotiating with those developers. And then the third task would be that do whatever help they need to do to give us the guidance to expand the district. So I guess there's three tasks over there that sound about. Just do it, do it too.
thank you. Marty? We'll call you back up to the. Do you understand what he's suggesting?
Yes, and I'd like to be able to tell you that I could tell you right now how much it would cost to put that together and put a task order together for that, but we just talked about it this morning. So if I don't know the timing soon, Commissioner. Soon. We can put task orders together, you know, for the board's approval. If it needs to move within before the next meeting. I don't know, I could give a number that would not exceed right now with a task order to follow, but I'd wanna be able to do that in a legal form, right? So how could we do that? I'll say not to exceed $20,000 for both of them combined. We can do the look at the three developments, the estimate of flows, how would a couple of options to serve them, and also assist with anything for if you need to assist the county with expansion of the district as needed. All told, not to exceed $20,000. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
Does that seem reasonable, Martin?
Yeah, just again, do a motion to approve the issue of task orders and authorize the president to sign those orders when completed and presented.
Who's gonna check on the cost of the boring, so you can figure out where to right away?
That would be, we put budgets together.
Okay. If that's okay with the board.
So we're looking for a recommendation to do that. Through that particular action, which would be to put together.
We will prepare.
The task orders for you to proceed.
Yes.
In.
And to do those three things, we would look at the three developments, we would prepare budgets, then also prepare whatever guidance is necessary for expansion of the district. And we could do that in one task order or multiple, however you prefer. Me, straight, simple is better. One of them's not.
I had someone follow in the back. Yes, sir.
If money is the only issue that makes this, I'll help you find the money. I wish you would have said that before I gave you.
We talk about $40,000.
Yeah, if money is the issue, we'll help you find it out. Well, if that's okay with the board, we'll put it all in one task order to keep it simple.
That would work for me.
Yeah.
Sharon, have you got that?
I think so, just need a motion and.
I'll make a motion to approve the task.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make myself available to sign that.
I'll get it put together and we'll get it to you as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other business from before the board at this time? Okay, it's gonna be a busy time here, it sounds like, so we're And I will tell you now, I will not be here for the next scheduled meeting. Need a motion to adjourn. Motion. Second,
Second.
all those in favor? Aye, the meeting is adjourned. I got another crisis to attend to also. Getting out of hand. Did you get all your signatures?